Sciences up half a percent. The news service Nikkei reported that the drug maker filed for Japanese approval of the medicine remdesivir as a COVID-19 treatment. U.S. regulators cleared that drug Friday for emergency use. Tyson Foods down 7.5%. The meat processor's earnings for the fiscal second quarter were far below analyst average estimate in the Bloomberg survey. Tyson said disruptions related to the coronavirus are reducing production and pushing up costs. And one more for you. Avis Budget Group down 7%. The rental car company is raising cash by selling $400 million of 5-year notes. The sale follows Friday's release of first quarter results, which showed a narrower loss than analysts expected.
Bloomberg Stocks editor Dave Wilson, thank you so much. We appreciate that update. Lots going on in the equity markets here pre-market. Well, with all this coronavirus impact, economic impact, really just kind of rippling across the economy, lots of volatility in the marketplace. Investors are looking for some safe havens. So you take a look at gold, and that's the classic. That's up about 12% this year. But guess what, Tom? Bitcoin is actually up 22% year to date. Is this actually a safe haven? Let's talk to our good friend Arthur Levitt, former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and a Bloomberg LP board member. Arthur, thanks so much for joining us. What do you make of the performance of Bitcoin this year?
Well, it certainly looks like Bitcoin is beginning to attract real retail interest once more. And with worldwide stimulus efforts showing no signs of easing, traders are jumping into cryptos as a hedge against currency wars. So as governments increase the quantity of paper money, it takes obviously more pieces of paper money to buy things that have fixed quantities, such as stocks and real estate, above where they would settle absent an increase in the amount of money. And the corollary is that they'll also inflate the price of other things like gold, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies. So people are flocking to Bitcoin in search of an alternative asset to store their wealth in.
Arthur, I know you're not an expert at this, but I'm going to ask you the expert call. Do you have a methodology for finding fair value on Bitcoin? Is there some, not benchmark or Levian calculus, but is there a way to figure out fair value at any moment on Bitcoin?
I don't know what it is. I think the traders in Bitcoin probably each have their own methodology, but I know of no single formula for finding what that is.
Arthur, I want to go to the news flow, which is J. Crew filing for bankruptcy. Folks, I've read some of the details. I don't pretend to be an expert on this. Arthur, you've seen this a zillion times. Somebody paid up $3 billion 9 years ago for this closing shop. This would be TPG and Leonard Green, and they work it down to $1.6 billion, which evaporates into equity, and somebody ponies up a new $400 million to get them to start all over again. Is that a healthier process of workout than all the other modern stuff we're doing with our government institutions? I mean, is the kind of pain that we're seeing this morning with J. Crew more natural and ultimately more effective than our modern institutional workouts?
I don't think so. It's an alternate form, and what you're seeing is a function of greed, getting the most capital use with the least amount of capital. And J. Crew was a great company when Mickey Drexler formed it and developed it. And today, with financials, statisticulations, it just overreached. And in this kind of economy today, it's paying a heavy price for it and taking bankruptcy. Too bad.
Arthur, do you expect to see, I mean, we've had tremendous amount of fiscal stimulus, probably more likely to come. Given all that, are we going to see more J. Crew stories, brand names that everybody knows really going by the wayside here?
I think so, because many of these companies have had a tremendous amount of their ownership taken over by funds, private equity funds in particular, And the name of the game there is maximum leverage. And when there's maximum leverage, I think there's maximum risk.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think we'll probably see some more of that.
Arthur Levitt, thank you so much. Always just terrific perspective. Arthur Levitt, the former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and of course, Bloomberg LP board member as well. Let's do this. I want to come back with Paul with his knowledge on all these corporate workouts. But first, the news in New York City. Here's Michael Barr.
Tom, Paul, thank you very much. Governors are facing pressure from the White House and some of their citizens to reopen their economies now, while cases of coronavirus continue to rise in several states. Bloomberg's Martin DeCaro has more.
The COVID tracking project says excluding the New York area, infections, hospitalizations, and deaths are increasing in the United States. That's why Maryland's Republican Governor Larry Hogan says he won't abide the demands of right-wing protesters to end his stay-at-home order.
States try to open in a safe way. Unfortunately, the pressure is to do it in a not safe way.
After 1,000 demonstrators met in his state's capital, Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear had to implore the crowd to keep their masks on.
Whether you believe COVID is real or not, I know it is.
An Associated Press analysis found most states are falling short of the minimum levels of testing suggested by the federal government to reopen safely. Martin DeCaro, Bloomberg Radio.
Greece has begun gradually lifting its restrictive measures after a 42-day lockdown to stop the spread of the coronavirus. As of this morning, Greeks are no longer restricted as to why they can leave their homes and don't need to send an SMS or carry a self-written permit justifying being outdoors. The first businesses such as hair salons and barbershops have also opened. It's a morning of first for the Supreme Court. It is the first time audio of the court's arguments will be heard live by the world, and the first arguments by telephone. The changes are a result of the coronavirus pandemic, which has made holding courtroom sessions unsafe, especially with 6 justices aged 65 or older and at risk of getting seriously sick from the virus. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Tom, Paul?
Michael, thanks so much. We talked to Arthur Levitt about J.Crew. Well, Paul, you and I have seen this a million times. Somebody goes in, they go in for huge money.
Yep.
X number of years later, boom, it doesn't work out. And then there's a good chunk of debt, in this case $1.7 billion, that evaporates into equity, and somebody puts in new money.
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty vanilla, isn't it?
That is pretty vanilla. It's a pretty vanilla workout. It's a stress debt situation. We see that a lot, and it's a question of, how much equity do the bondholders get in a reorganization here? The
answer's not much.
Yeah, not much. And the question is, when there's initially, when it was a LBO situation and the private equity came in this case TPG, I believe, Tom.
TPG and Leonard Green.
And Leonard Green. How much of their equity that they put in did they get out? And usually they take it out, whether it's through dividends or fees and that type of thing.
Fair.
So it's a real question. We see it time and time again, but it's if you're a creditor, you really have to pay attention, obviously, to the all the stuff in the loan documents to see kind of where you fall out in any type of restructuring or bankruptcy.
I would suggest, Paul, quickly here that the calendar is a huge deal for retail. I mean, this is about getting to, you pick the date in June, or getting to the date in July where they've got to have some form of revenue support, or else.
Yeah, they're already starting to, just reading some stories on the Bloomberg today, Tom, where retailers are already worrying about the holiday season, being a bust here. And here we are
Memorial Day.
Yeah, here we are just in May here, and really thinking about it. So it's a never-ending issue. The retail sector, Tom, as we all know, has been felled by, the rush to e-commerce. Now you've got the pandemic and the impact on the consumer. So we'll figure this out. This is Bloomberg.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong.
Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit HUD.gov/fairhousing. That's HUD.gov/fairhousing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Influential conversations.
The trampoline that makes Dad feel like a kid again. The projector that turns film night into outdoor cinema night. The hot tub that transforms your garden into a spa retreat. With a choice of ways to pay, you can make the most of family time. You can say yes when it matters most at very.co.uk. Goods and services provided by Shop Direct Home Shopping Limited. Credit provided. Subject to status by Shop Direct Finance Company Limited. 18+.
Did you know that players of People's Postcode Lottery have raised over £500 million for charities and good causes? They've also won £63 million in prizes so far this year, and it could be your postcode next. Visit postcodelottery.co.uk/radio before midnight on the 21st of May to play in the June draws. PPL manage lotteries on behalf of good causes. 16+. Conditions apply. Play responsibly.
A half-price dream holiday, wouldn't want to miss that. A takeaway for free, wouldn't want to miss that. And 30 gigs data for just £10 a month on Smarty Mobile. You definitely don't want to miss that. Our Smarty SIM comes packed with 30 gigs of data and unlimited calls and texts for just £10 a month on a 1-month plan. That's why Smarty won Best Value SIM-only network in the U-Switch Mobile Awards 2020. Don't miss out. Search Smarty Mobile. Smarty. Simple, honest mobile. Smarty.co.uk.
News 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. We're watching shares of GE Aviation is developing plans for permanent employee reductions. It's planning cuts of as much as 25% this year. Shares of GE are down about 3% this morning. Starbucks long-term issuer default rating was downgraded by Fitch to BBB from BBB+. Futures are lower this morning with S&P futures down about 20 points. Dow futures down 249 and NASDAQ futures down 48. The DAX in Germany is down 3.7%. The 10-year Treasury down 5/30 seconds, yield 0.62%, and the yield on the 2-year 0.19%. NYMEX crude oil down 2.1%. It's down 42 cents at $19.38 a barrel. COMEX gold is up 0.7% or $11.40 at $17.1260 an ounce. The euro 1.0936 against the dollar. British pound 1.2434, and the yen is at 106.86. And that's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom and Paul.
Thanks so much, Karen. Greatly appreciate that. With the pandemic, with all the different news flows that we've had from it, and the statistics, the curve flattenings that we've seen and such, it's been important to get the perspective of the Johns Hopkins University. Joshua Sharfstein is with the Bloomberg School of Public Health. I should point out that Mr. Bloomberg is, of course, the founder of Bloomberg LP, this radio and television property, as well. And he's been a philanthropist to his engineering school at Johns Hopkins and, of course, the greater university. Here is Joshua Sharfstein, an update on the pandemic.
overall it's a plateau in the United States. It's not really going down particularly quickly. And for, there are certainly places like New York where it is declining, but there are also quite a few places, even some smaller cities, where it is increasing.
Well, it's increasing as well. Can they use the same methods from New York? I mean, what is the difference in medical treatment in Baltimore or New York versus the remoteness of some of these new places in America?
You mean you're putting your finger on an important issue, which is that the hospital system is not nearly as robust in many places. Many of the hospitals have closed in rural areas. Those that are open are very small and financially unstable. And so this has created an enormous challenge. People are going to, so it creates this dynamic where people may feel like, we're never going to have a problem like New York, but it doesn't take a problem like New York to tip that entire local healthcare system over.
There is all sorts of issues here about getting out of lockdown, all the images over the weekend and all that. What have you learned in the last 24 hours about getting out of lockdown?
Well, I think that people have to look past just the overall government decision. I think what's really going to matter is whether all of us, all the businesses, are following good public health guidance to stay away from each other, to continue to physically distance from each other. That is as important, I think, as some of the specific policies that are put into place. If people just go out and defy what's being done, it's going to be very hard to keep this disease under control. And if we open a little, which may be appropriate in some areas, but people take that as a green light to do whatever they want to do, it's really going to be a problem. There's nothing holding this disease back except our ability to stay away from each other right now.
Josh, when are we going to be able to understand this disease better? So there are a number of studies also trying to understand genetics, to try and understand why in certain countries, the mortality rate is much higher than others, although the lockdowns were very similar. What are some of the questions that you unanswered to understand it better, and how soon can those answers come?
I think there are some very important questions, including some continued questions about how the disease is transmitted, and the role particularly that children play in transmitting the disease. I think that's going to be very important as we think about whether and how to open up schools. There's also some basic issues about the illness, why people with certain conditions are at so much higher risk of dying. And is there any way to predict early in the course of disease who is going to have a more severe illness? I'm also very intrigued by the reports that perhaps earlier medical treatment of certain kinds really helps. I mean, if that can be established, that could be very, very important. If it turns out that earlier oxygen therapy or some other type of intervention matters, that might change the way that medical services are organized and keep a number of people out of the hospital. So I do think that we've gotten a lot of scientific information, and we're going to see every week more and more insights. I think the frustration is that science doesn't necessarily operate by, one big headline and everyone agrees. It's going to be like these little, incremental steps, a couple steps back, a couple steps forward. But it's the kind of thing when you look backwards, you'll see how far I think we've come in our understanding.
What can you tell us about the Gilead therapy? So there was a setback, and now it seems to be on better track. Again, can we find out by the summer if this is one of the biggest hopes for the world?
This particular therapy, I think, is going to be potentially of some benefit, but most likely not of like a major, tremendous benefit. I think what I mentioned last time, I still think, which is we're going to have to see the ongoing studies which are using that drug at different stages of the illness, because the medicine might work so-so at one stage of the illness, but work much better or not at all at a different stage. And so it's going to be like a bunch of little studies that will add up to a much greater understanding. And then as we learn more about a particular medication, we'll learn more about the disease. If it turns out that, trying to block viral replication really makes a lot of the difference if it's given early, if the drug's given early, that might help us target other kinds of therapies. So I'm hopeful that we'll learn more from these other studies that will round out the picture of remdesivir.
Joshua Sharfstein, the Johns Hopkins University Bloomberg School of Public Health. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene trying to get to the market opening. We'll do that in 5 minutes. As well, Paul, tape ugly overnight, ugly 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and it's improved a little bit. The VIX was out to 40. We're back to 39.15 on the VIX, up 2 points. It's a challenging morning, but I don't want to oversell it as gloom. Paul, Dow futures at negative 222.
Yeah, I think exactly right, Tom. I think this is I would have to characterize this as a fairly calm kind of futures market here, taking a little bit of a downdraft from Warren Buffett's commentary perhaps over the weekend. He didn't really put any money to work in large part because the Fed came in so aggressively and kind of brought the market back a little bit. So, but I think, him getting out of the airlines, him just showing some caution, I think that's all the market needed, just kind of step back and pause here a little bit.
I thought Kathy Chinglissy's essay for Bloomberg was really smart. Folks, in it, she gracefully said the track record of Berkshire. And Paul, without any animosity to Mr. Buffett, the fact is over 10 and even 20 years, I guess it's sort of kind of like worked out, but it hasn't. I mean, it's underperforming by 80, 100, even 200 basis points a year, depending on which, time frame you pick.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sitting on $135 billion worth of cash, that's not generating market returns for you in this certainly the last 10 years. That's not where you want to be. So we're looking at the markets here. Again, a weak opening. We'll have that for you in just moments.
Why do hedge funds and other alternative managers rely on Pershing for a highly personalized experience? Mark Alderati, a managing director at BNY Mellon's Pershing and head of Prime Services, explains.
In today's fast-paced environment, where the only constants are change and volatility, you need a prime broker who's both steady and agile, focused on supporting your needs so that you can focus on growing your business and producing results. Exceptional client service and advocating for our clients is at the core of what we do. Our award-winning high-touch team is just one of the benefits of working with BNY Mellon. We help alternative investment managers create great experiences for their clients. Whether it's customized financing, securities lending solutions, platform access, or outsourced trading, BNY Mellon's Pershing is a prime broker who's committed to this business and dedicated to meeting your evolving demands.
To learn more about the unique and industry-leading solutions for hedge funds and other alternative managers, visit Pershing.com. Pershing LLC. Member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
This is a Bloomberg.
A half-price dream holiday, wouldn't want to miss that. A takeaway for free, wouldn't want to miss that. And 30 gigs data for just £10 a month on Smarty Mobile. You definitely don't want to miss that. Our Smarty SIM comes packed with 30 gigs of data and unlimited calls and texts for just £10 a month on a 1-month plan. That's why Smarty won Best Value SIM-only network in the Uswitch Mobile Awards 2020. Don't miss out. Search Smarty Mobile. Smarty. Simple, honest mobile. Smarty.co.uk.
Picture in your mind a stylish Audi with striking LED headlights, sporty alloy wheels, and some of our most advanced features, including a 10-inch digital cockpit and smart assistant systems like lane departure warning. Picture what that Audi looks like. Now think smaller. The Audi A1. It's not a small car, it's a small Audi. Visit audi.co.uk. Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
When next in Asda, why not try our new mobile Scan and Go app? Simply download the app, scan your shop with your mobile, and pack as you go. Then head to the self-checkout to pay. quick, easy and contact-free, so you have more time to get your cook on. Asda. Mobile data charges may apply. Suitable for iOS 9 and Android 5 or above. Selected stores subject to availability.
Where will 2020 take you? Somewhere where people care. About each other. About our planet. About creating a better world for everyone. And becoming the best versions of yourselves. Join a community of like-minded individuals at the University of Winchester. Make sure to accept your offer by the UCAS deadline and visit our website to find out more. See the bigger picture. Be the difference. Go to winchester.ac.uk.
Live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Good morning, I'm Karen Moscow, along with Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney, and the S&P 500 is lower at the open. It's down 0.7%. It's down 20 points at 2811. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 0.9% or 216 points at 23,490. And the Nasdaq's down 0.5% or 44 points at 8561. 10-year Treasury down 6/32, the yield 0.63%. The yield on the 2-year 0.19%. NYMEX crude oil down 1.7%, down 35 cents at $19.42 a barrel. COMEX gold is up 0.6% or $9.80 at $17.1080 an ounce. The euro 1.0925 against the dollar. The yen is at 106.85. Tom and Paul.
Karen, thanks so much. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. Bill Smead joins us right now. Smead Capital and, of course, value investors. They sort of like Sequoia, like they own 25, 30 stocks, some real concentration there, less diversified, and they're in the value space. Bill Smead, your track record over long term is nothing short of an act of God. It is a miracle, unlike the last year. You know, any way you want to look at it, it's been a tough slog for large cap value away from the 7 or 8 stocks doing well. How do you manage that forward?
Well, you get more excited about it, Tom. We took a look about a week ago at the year-to-date, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 year on the Russell 1000 value versus the Russell 1000 growth. And the spreads were 15%, 20%, 50%, and 145%. So what it tells you that in virtually every single time period for the last 10 years, growth has beaten value. And that's, we find that really a key in, for example, the Berkshire Hathaway meeting. Because from a value standpoint, today is a great day to be a Ben Graham person. Right? This is a great point in time to be somebody that looks at asset values and cash flows and all those kind of important things for today. And we definitely like this market for that reason.
All right. So give us your sense of your takeaways from Warren Buffett over the weekend. He's always been enthusiastic about America long-term, American exceptionalism, but it didn't necessarily come across in some of his actions. What were your takeaways?
Well, first of all, you have to understand the capital structure of what he's running. Right? He's running a $500 billion market cap company with $130-some billion in cash. And for him to be able to buy something, it's got to be a very large company that is very deeply out of favor. And the very largest companies, as Tom mentioned in the intro, they've had favor. Mason Hawkins calls it quality at any price. See, when you're buying a dip and you're paying 30 times for Costco or 35 times for Visa or 80 times or 100 times for Netflix and Amazon because they seem to be benefiting from the misery, you're exacerbating the growth trend. And then there's massive selling on the value side, and there's no capital in the hands of the value people to sit there and buy with bids below the market.
Yeah, but Bill, I get that. But the fact of the matter is their revenue profile forward, it's like Mars and Venus. I mean, the revenue profile of some of those high-flying techs is extraordinary compared to low single-digit. If
revenue profiles were important, and that was the most important thing, Target's revenues are up 8%, mostly on the back of their e-commerce business exploding, and groceries, which are low. In other words, the thing that's doing the